Hey everybody, welcome to Tea Time with Amy and Bev. What's up, girl? A
Not
part
much.
two?
Just kicking it with my friend, my
Is that
soul
me?
sister.
Is that me?
That's you.
I love your face.
I love your face.
I did something today. It was quite interesting. I don't know that I've ever done this before. I honestly don't think I've done this before in a way that I did it today. I'm in a nonprofit organization and I'm the first vice president this year with the intention of being president next year. And I oversaw a huge event. I've talked about it before in other videos that we've done. And then with my job, we do a lot of event planning. Today I was working on something and I got up and I had to go use the restroom. So I'm walking to the restroom and my immediate question internally to myself was, what am I learning from all this?
Just gave me goosebumps.
Isn't that awesome?
That's a good
I was
question.
like, ooh, this is a good conversation with myself. And I started thinking about the things. What am I learning from this? And it was, I'm learning to be better at communication. I am learning to work with groups of people in different, uh, uh, like committees. So different committees, each committee overseeing a piece of whatever we're doing. I'm learning to be I'm a pretty organized person when it comes to this, to my stuff, but I'm learning to be even more organized with all the moving pieces I have going on, getting even better at being organized. Like I just started thinking about, I'm learning leadership skills. I'm learning to be okay in front of people and ask for help. Whereas that's huge to stand up in front of a group of people and go, okay, this is the thing. I'm not sure what to do. What's your input? History is I need to figure this out so I don't look like an idiot and I don't fail. And it needs to be perfect and put all the pressure on me to do it. I don't do that anymore. Like I stand up, I'm like, okay, here's where I'm at. This is what I need to figure out. Does anybody have any input on it? Like I just open it up. So just having that moment in time today to go, what am I learning from all of this? It was just like a, wow, this is cool. So, anyway, that was
That
a
really
moment
is.
today that was fabulous.
I love it. I love it because it just makes me even ponder questions like, why am I doing it? Well, why did I do a TikTok? Why did I change my sign on my door? Because I've had doubts and I've had some doubts this week. Like, what am I doing? Why am I putting all this stuff on my door? Like what are you planning, universe? Like, I don't, you're telling me these things and I'm listening and I'm being the obedient servant and I'm following along with all this stuff. But it's like, I was really doubting it
Yeah.
this one day, and it's like it provoked one of my clients to ask me a question and her perspective was on channeling. And then she opened up and told me things that I had never heard. That we've never had this conversation, and I don't know how many years I've been seeing her, because she's a person that comes in and we don't have there's not a lot of conversation. So that was awesome. And then as soon as I got done with that meeting, I get a message from the girl, how do you like that sign? Did you get it up? This is after I was thinking I was not going to put it up. I'm serious. So yeah, it's just funny, but it's like, what am I learning from all this? Well, I can tell you right now, I'm learning that I'm not the fearful person that I was. I don't care how I'm being perceived, if I've got makeup on or don't have makeup on, or if I'm not dyeing my hair or am dyeing my hair. This is me. Like, this is me. I'm in a nice cozy shirt right now. You know what I mean? This is me. This is how I am. And it's okay. It's okay for me to be that way, because I was not that way. My mom never went to the freaking mailbox without having her makeup on,
Oh, yeah.
without looking good to go out to the mailbox. So it's like there's a lot of stuff that we grow up with, and it's like and my kids have helped teach me this really a lot. because they don't have to wear makeup. They'll go out and do things all the time. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't know how you do that. I
Yeah.
do it all the time now. It's like or it's just very limited. There's nothing, I just find it fascinating. So it's like, what am I learning? I'm learning to grow. I'm learning that the only one that has to like me is me. And for most of my life, it wasn't me that was liking me. I was
Yeah.
wanting somebody outside of me to like me, to give my value to me. And
Yeah.
so that's kind of shifting, and you recognize things, how you react or respond to things, but you're recognizing things, or how you don't anymore. You don't have the same responses that you would have had before. So it's there. That's a great question that we could probably ask ourselves that every day, if not every week. Like really checking in with yourself. It adds to the, instead of us talking about the things that happened that were bad today with the kids. You know how kids, get them from school and the teacher might say, "Oh, he was great," or "Oh, he was just like this." When they say stuff, it could be like, "Well, we had a little bit of situations, or we had a little bit of moments," but on the opposite side of that, it was all these great things. But we don't always focus on those things, right? And so that's what we're learning to do on a regular basis, is really everything that's happening in your experience. You could be like, I like that, but I don't like that. So if I don't like that, what would I like instead of that? I like this. So all of this is making us pick and choose, right? That goes back to Abraham Hicks that you talked about in the last session. It's all that information's right there, and it's really just being aware. That's how life is. We complicate it so much. When I channel right, I've got messages that I've written to myself, that I've channel written to myself, that's telling me that we overcomplicate things.
Yeah, we sure do. Um, as you were talking though, what I realized, because I didn't realize this earlier, I didn't put it in this perspective earlier, but what I realized, because I was like, it just felt so good. The reason, and I had to write it down, the reason why it felt so good was typically I'm in a space of what am I learning from this? Because it's been something heavy, it's something that's drawing me down, it's something that's dramatic, that's getting my attention, it's something that typically I would get mad and frustrated and irritated and just or feel guilt or something like that. And I know those things happen for a reason so that I can learn and grow. But they're heavy. There's heaviness to them. Today it was, what am I learning from this from a more uplifting position or perspective? It wasn't through heaviness. That's why it felt so good. I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
that is so freaking cool. And then what I didn't tell you through that whole story was when I was contemplating what I was learning, I was like, there are great things coming. There's a reason. There's a reason why I'm learning all this, and there are some great things coming. And I'm just like I have chills all over my body right now, and I'm just like, this is fucking cool.
It really is. It really is. And so that goes back to the whole reaction thing, right?
Yeah.
Because it's all, we've learned how to respond instead of react, right? But it's having would you call it a response or a reaction? If somebody's watching something and your team wins, you jump up and you're all excited. Would that be a reaction or a response?
I would call that a reaction actually, because it's a it's a
That's what I was thinking too.
jolting. It's a
Yeah.
jolting reaction. And it could be
Yeah.
a jolting reaction in excitement or a jolting reaction in anger.
Yeah. But
When I
what feels better, right?
yeah. A response to me is when so you're experiencing something that's getting your attention, but you have the ability to just like take a breath and pause before you react. It's more of a response to me. So when I say react, you can see me, my body comes forward and I'm less like react. When I respond, it's a pull back and take a breath. And I kind of pull back, and you can just see me when I do it. I respond. So I'm pulling back and I'm settling into this moment to articulate what I'm going to come forward with. That makes sense?
Yeah, to me, it's like you're leaning back into your intuition. You're like, you're safe, you're
Yeah.
comfortable. There's no defense. There's nothing that you have to protect. You're
Yeah.
at ease and grace. And it's like, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, okay, so my team just scored a touchdown, and I'm like responding.
Yeah. You're
Oh,
like, woo.
wasn't that just wonderful? That would be so silly. Did you just see what happened?
Are you
I couldn't be
excited
that
about
calm.
that?
And the funny thing is that I don't think my reactions always before were always bad. I don't know that I could have ever had a good reaction because I was so controlled with my emotions and my feelings.
Yeah.
You know, like we were talking about in the last session, we're talking about a person that was sharing a lot of emotions and crying and, you know, all these things, my eyes roll up because that's how it felt at that moment. But after I, you know, walked my way through it, I recognized everything, but it just didn't, it's just such a generous wants to come in the word generous, but it was just such a, everything could be so much better. And
Yeah.
I'm learning that everything is so much better. It really is, because it's really about our perspective. It really is about our perspective and how we're looking at it. And are we looking at it through like what glass did I put on these glasses today? Oh yeah, look at everything looks like shit out there today. It's like, or am I gonna grab these glasses over here? Oh wow. Like I love your shirts. I love the colors on it. You know, it's those things. Or how many times you got someone that because they're so wrapped up in their stuff. I'm wandering off now, but they're so wrapped up in their stuff. They've been in my office a million times. Oh my gosh, is that brand new? No, it's been here for like 5 years. So I've done the same thing. That's why I laugh about this kind of stuff because it's like it's there's been such a progression. There's so much happening right now. I feel like there's such an evolution. We talk about running noses and releasing and all that stuff. Right now we have so much emotions coming up, so much things to be released. The other day, one of my daughters was, well, I think a couple of them were irritated, and then I had my granddaughter with me, and she was irritated, and you know, I'm irritated with her irritation, and you know, and then recognizing it, so then I can adjust because I adjust so quickly more quickly than I've ever done before. Because why? It's a fast description of what you just said a few minutes ago was because it felt better. It feels better, just like you processing your whole walking through the room, and it's like, you know, asking yourself questions, asking yourself a question. And it's like, holy crap, like that's a big question. That's huge.
Yeah.
And then it gives the opportunity to sit there and be like, look at all the amazing things that I'm doing. I'm not the person that's sitting in my house anymore and not doing anything. I'm not saying that you ever did. I'm just saying me, that would probably be me. Why am I doing some of the things I'm doing? Because I'm listening and I feel when you're listening and you start getting more and more stuff, you start becoming confident because things keep showing up for you that are synchronistic all day long, like all the time. It's just that's just the way it is. So
Yeah.
it just kind of life flows differently.
Yeah, for sure. We have a big meeting coming up, and it would be one of those types of meetings where typically knowing the context and knowing the history of people who will be there, it would be one of those types of meetings for the general population that would look at it and have dread. Okay. And this is coming up like in a couple days. And that's the way a couple of key people that are going to be at this meeting that I'm around, that's the energy that they are projecting or were projecting as of yesterday. And I knew it in the moment, in the conversation, and I would say the words differently. I'd be like, "Oh my gosh, it's going to be the most amazing meeting. It's going to be so good." And then they would go back to the way they talk, where we're
Mhm.
talking. And so I let it go because every time they would say it, I would counteract it with the type of meeting I want. I want an incredible meeting where everybody's collaborating and coming together and making this event just amazing, right? And so that's my focus. I want to be very intentional about my energy and what I'm bringing to this meeting and leading up to it because that matters. So I brought it to the forefront of conversation this morning. I said, listen, if you want to have an exceptional meeting, if you want this meeting to go really well, you have to talk about this meeting as if it is happening and it's going so good and it's so enjoyable. And like, I'm trying to explain this. And the person was very appreciative for me to remind them of that, because we've had these conversations before, but her default programming is the not so feel good words about things that are coming up. And I was like, we have, if we want an amazing event, we have to bring amazing energy. That means to this meeting where you know there may be some people that you don't really care for, you got to change the energy of that meeting now so that the meeting goes well. Like, set it up energetically so we're walking into and bringing this energy that is so amazing. And she's like, oh, yep, I understand and I agree and I will work on that, which is all I can ask. I can't change the way she is. I can't change her default programming, but at least she has awareness. And I did tell her, like, you have to stop having these conversations like that. So it's an interesting dynamic to be around people. Again, knowing where I used to be with myself, knowing I used to be like that. And I still, every once in a while, will get into that same default programming. The difference is I catch myself quicker than most. And so the interesting dynamic is the counter reaction, right? So they're coming with this and I'm coming with that. Like, they're coming with that and I'm coming with this. So it's making sure that I'm maintaining my energy in those conversations where I don't get irritated and try to have this higher energy in the conversation. I'm not saying like I'm all like excited and blah, 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 dance around. I'm just saying my words are intentional with what I'm saying compared to how somebody talks when they're just on their default program words. So that's been a big thing over the past couple days. And actually, I've been practicing that for a while because of that big event I was overseeing with the nonprofit organization. And we're talking like multiple people in a meeting having those conversations of kind of dread in some respects, and me counteracting with more intentional, higher vibrational words. And they start catching it. So the more we had meetings, the more the conversations were different, the more relaxed they were when they showed up. Yeah. And I had somebody say to me this morning that she said, you know, when I first got into this organization and I went to these meetings, people were arguing all the time. For this, we're having the same event every year, just somebody oversees it, somebody different oversees it every year. And she goes, this year, it seemed to go really smooth. The meetings were really calm. Everything was different and everything seemed to go well. I'm like, if people in the organization is recognizing that, that is a validation. I'm doing my job. Like, I'm doing the intentional work with how I show up. That is the validation. It's not an ego thing that I need to know, but it's definitely a validation for me to know that I'm doing way better than I've ever had done in these positions that I'm holding right now.
Yeah.
With that amount of people.
Well, you're on the right path. It just lets you know you're on the right path, right? Especially those kind of messages that when they come through. But it also, you have presented an opportunity. They can continue doing it the same way they've been doing it, or they can change the way they're using their words. And it's an opportunity. It's not like you have to go do this or else. It's no, you can do whatever you want to, but you're either going to have fun with what is being presented to you right now, or you're not going to have fun. And I'm going to have fun. So one of the things that we have been doing lately, my group and stuff, we remind ourselves, I'm in the 5D. We can dip our toes into the 3D all the time, and each person has to identify because I was sitting here thinking, what does the 5D mean to me? But it's each person has to identify what does 5D feel like to them. Because I've got my own perspective. I've had my own experiences. I'm going to go through things differently. But being in a 5D for me means I'm going to see things from a higher perspective, right? I'm going to have a good time going to that meeting that sounds like job, right? The old connotations. Like I can't even think of any type of meeting I've ever gone to that our conversation was like, oh yay, we're going to a meeting. Do you know what I mean? But you're already having the meeting. So it's like, what if it's the most amazing meeting we've ever had? What if we get so much out of this meeting that we've never gotten before? What if we all leave here feeling uplifted and jovial when we get into we're like laughing and get into our cars and we're like, wait a minute. I was just at a meeting. This is not the right kind of behavior to have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It could be all those things, and it's like let's play the what if game. That's the fun stuff, and that's bringing that stuff, with our teams and stuff like that. It's talking to them because I've got it on my board. I don't know if I ever said it, but I said that. Did I say that Colton wrote on my board? So there was a spot on my board. I sent it to the kids probably. There was a spot because I've got a board. It says all kinds of things. Wouldn't it be amazing if? And we're here to follow our passions and create and stuff like that. And it's like Colton says, "Can I write on your board?" And I said, "Yeah." Well, you can write down here in this space. He says, "Okay." And he wrote on there, "What if I got to be rich? What if I got to be rich?" That to me, I have been saying that every single day because it's like it's so simple, but it's silly.
Yeah.
What if I got to be rich? Just the whole statement. I was like, man, I said that's staying on my board. I said everything else can get erased. I'll probably freaking put something over the top of it so nothing can ever change it. But
Yeah.
I thought it was great. But it's like it's fun to play the what if game. It's fun to play the what if game with everybody, from children all the way up to adults. Of course, then you're going to have some sour apple in there that might say something, and you'll be like, what if? And then you throw out something that's the total opposite of what they just threw out and make them think. Even if they don't have a good reaction during that time frame, it doesn't mean you didn't plant a seed.
Right. And it's not just that person, it's everybody in the room.
Absolutely.
Because they're
It's
watching
everybody
you.
that gets to hear.
Yeah. And they're watching you and they're listening to what you're saying or how you're going to respond to this person or react to this person. And they come with a what if negative and you come with a what if positive. And then people are like, wait, what did she say?
Exactly. Yeah.
Did did I just hear what she said? What did she ask? Because not everybody's in the vibrational frequency to hear what was said.
Exactly.
And it's going to throw them off because our default programming is focused on the drama. So when somebody's there is being negative Nancy and throwing these curveballs and you're trying to dodge them and be defensive, when the response is take a breath, pull back, let that feminine energy, intuitive side come in and go back in with a, well, what if this? And counteract their question. I might do that. That sounds like a really fun game to do in a group of people who don't have a fucking clue with what's going on.
Because why? Because our curiosity as children was kind of squashed in a lot of ways. That curiosity, it wasn't okay for you to have that curious nature. It wasn't okay for a lot of kids to ask questions over and over again or ask why. Or
Yeah.
it wasn't okay for those kids to have those emotions. We've been those kids.
Yes.
We have been those kids.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we're here at this point. So we understand all that stuff. That's how we do have an understanding, because we have experienced it. And
Yeah.
now looking back at it, it's like, okay, well, I'm glad I had all those experiences because I'm not in the muck of it anymore.
Right.
Right now,
And
it's
what do I
filled.
have to lose?
What do you have to lose? That's the biggest
Nothing.
thing. Absolutely
Nothing.
nothing. What, is everybody going to like you more? That's horrible.
It'd be like, I'm not sure what you said, but it was really good.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the meeting was about, but I feel like I have never felt so good in my whole life. When are we going to do it again?
Yeah, I'm so glad I came to this meeting. It was kind of cool.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how it can be. It's just like changing the old perspectives, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Now
So
I'm really
wonderful.
excited about the meeting. I'm like, this is going to be great.
Woohoo!
I'm like, give me
You're
the
all pumped
opportunity.
out. That's awesome.
Sounds like fun now. Maybe
Yeah.
you gotta come to the meeting and see how it goes.
Yeah. Maybe.
Oh man, that sounds like exciting now. Um, makes I have two big meetings on Thursday, so this is gonna be great.
They're going to be great. And then it's like taking notice of all the things that were great in each one of those meetings afterwards. Because why? We don't want to sit and think about all the horrible things because they weren't horrible. They were just like things that were presented that how could we see it differently or how could we do it differently or whatever.
Well,
It's not a big deal.
and our default programming is what if uh everything fear-based?
Oh
What if
yeah.
it's
What if I don't get it
wrong?
right? Or what
What
if,
if that happens? What if they say that? And it's all negative. It's all fear. I say negative. It's fear-based. That's our typical go-to programming and how we look at something. When the opposite of that, and we've had these conversations before, is what if it's amazing? What if things go so well that it just seems so easy? And this is the biggest event we've had this year. Like, what if everybody enjoys it so much and the sales are up and people get along and there's so much support and the volunteer, like, what if all of that? We're not programmed to do that. That is something that takes practice over and over. And you just have to make it a practice to do the what if in a different avenue. I call it a love avenue. That you do it from a love space instead of a fear space. So that's what I'm doing with this meeting, and I've started those conversations. So
yeah, you're creating a change just by being you. And that's what we're here for. We're showing another way. You can show up a different way than having to freaking drag yourself in. It's like, I gotta go to this meeting. Are you
yeah,
gonna be able to go to eat dinner tonight? No, I gotta go to a meeting.
I
Like
have this
everything
meeting.
revolves around exactly. And then now they're gonna walk out there being like, man, I just feel so good. Do you want to go eat? Oh no, I just feel so good. I don't even feel like eating right now. Like
Yeah,
I don't I'm gonna go call somebody. Who knows?
who knows?
It just shifts the gears and it's good.
And
It's great.
we talked about when I started this job, we talked about um we talked, I know, like I said, I've said it before. Everything happens for a reason. I'm in this job for a reason. Every day there's something that comes up. I'm like, this is why I'm here. This is why I'm here. This is why I'm here. And then it's things like this. And you said it. You said you get to be a change. And so that's another reason why I'm here, because I'm bringing something, I'm bringing a different energy, different words, different perspective to things where there's typically a lot of resistance. We don't have to have that. If we do it from this perspective or this angle or this energy, which is more ease, more relaxation, more peaceful, more loving, then everything seems to go a lot smoother. And the more it's demonstrated, which would be from, not to toot my horn, but to say that I am that main uh, main demonstrator of that practice, then people start catching on. Then there's a ripple effect. And if one person sees me do it, now there's two of us. And then that just keeps expanding out because more and more people start practicing it. Then it's like the community, the energy of the community shifts in all
100%.
aspects. And so if that's why I'm there, fucking great. I'm
It
there
is.
and I'm in it and I'm doing it.
It's
And
like,
it's exciting.
what if I get to be the way shower and the change maker? What if I get to be the leader of that? What if I get
Yeah.
to, I mean, there's so much wonderful that comes from that, just from asking those kind of questions. Cause it's like it's already happening.
Yeah. It really is.
It
It's
really
super
is.
cool. All right. Well, that was an amazing conversation, I have to say.
It was
And
fantastic.
I'm excited I showed up tonight for this.
Me too. Me
I'm glad
too.
you showed up.
Yeah, I am. I'm glad I showed up.
All right. Well, we're going to leave it at that unless you have any final words before we wrap this up.
I think we wrap it up and have a magical week.
Wonderful. And if we remember, I'll give you a synopsis of what happened in the meetings.
Nice.
Anyway, thanks for hanging out with us. Tea time and Amy with Amy and Bev. Have these courageous conversations, talk to people, and there are always people out there looking for content like this, whether it's from us or other content creators, spiritual teachers, influencers that they're looking for a change. You could be that bridge between the information and them. So share the content, have the conversations, share the resources, share the videos, the books, whatever it might be. So there's plenty of ways that you can find us. It's YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, Podcast Addict, YouTube. So we're all over the place. So you can find us in many platforms. So with that, we thank you. We thank you for your time, because you could be doing anything else with your time, but you're listening to us. And so we are very grateful for you for doing that. And this is Tea Time with Amy and Bev. We'll see you next time.
See you later.